You know what, Earl? I don't like shit either, man. It looks bad and it smells even worse. And outside, shit, I wouldn't go outside either. There's hurricanes and shit out there, and that's killing everybody. What's going on, everybody? It's the Granddad Wooly, and you are here again for another edition of Wooly Reviews Hip Hop Data. Today we got an album review today, and we're going to be talking about the new album from one of the most popular members of the LA collective, Odd Future. This nigga's back. He got a new one. You know we had to holler at it. Talking about Earl Sweatshirt, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, an album by Earl Sweatshirt. And that's the longest fucking album title I've ever said in my goddamn life. But that's the new album from, like I said, Earl Sweatshirt. He is one of the most popular and known members of the group Odd Future, who also houses members such as Tyler the Creator, Haji Beats, Left Brain. Oh, it's a lot of niggas in there. It's a lot of niggas, okay? Just look up Odd Future and you'll see the list of the niggas in that group. But we're talking about Earl Sweatshirt in particular. Now, those who aren't familiar with him, he came up when Tyler the Creator got popular with Odd Future, and his mixtape called Earl got really popular while he was away at boarding school in Samoa. So he ends up getting out of boarding school, coming back to all this fame and success that he didn't even know he fucking had until he got back. And to capitalize off that, he ended up signing a deal with Columbia Records and his own label called Tan Cressida, and he put out the album Doris in 2013. And the album, though it was very, very commercially, you know, put out and seen and everything like that, it was a little bit of a letdown for me personally, because I was a big fan of Earl, and he really was one of my favorite members of Odd Future due to his talent and his lyrical ability. And when that came out, it seemed like it was really pushing too far into the commercial realm, and it just seemed like he wasn't ready for all that spotlight and whatnot. And the album had a lot of hype around it, and I just don't think he capitalized on it. I was kind of disappointed and let down with that album, but I still have faith in Earl. So now fast forward to now, 2015, 2 years later, and Earl has been through some shit. This nigga has been depressed as all hell, and this album is explaining all of that in a nutshell. Now, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside is a very dark and grim and very depressing sounding album. This shit sounds like it was made in a dirty, dingy basement with no lights on, with a nigga in a hood, all black, and just with a candle, making beats and making rhymes on a dirty-ass, old-ass microphone. That's how this shit sounds. The beats and on here are all done by Earl under his alias name Random Black Dude. Only Left Brain has another beat on here, but most of the shit is done by Earl. And you can tell that Earl is still very early in his production game because the beats are very low-key and lo-fi. They're actually very mixed, very dryly. It really isn't the greatest mix as far as these beats are concerned, and they don't really liven up or pop off. But I think Earl purposely did that because this fucking album is supposed to be real mellow and moody and grim, and it's supposed to just explain the time in his life that he's trying to explain through this album. So the production on here, though it doesn't jump off and jump at you, it does have sort of an appeal to it if you understand the way he was going as far as the production of it. But it's really a mellow, dark, moody album from front to back. There's very, very rare that it kind of picks up. There are some records that kind of have a little bit of life in them, but it still has that dark, very edgy, gritty, grim tone to it. All the beats on here have it, but you got to give it to Earl that he actually produced the entire album by himself, which is a daunting task for anybody who's just getting into production and also rap. So hats off to him for doing that. And for the most part, the beats have some sort of substance, and you can tell he has some sort of production chops, but they will get better in time. But for this, it actually works out because he captures the exact mood that this album is supposed to be. Now let's get into the main part of this, Earl's rhymes, which is also the best part of this album. Now, anybody that's listening to Earl Sweatshirt knows that this nigga can spit. This dude is only 20 years old, and he raps like he can out-rap niggas twice his age and anything beyond. His wordplay is up there with the levels of a Doom, Eminem, fucking Nas, you know, on that level. Not to the exact level, but you can tell he has those abilities and those components to his wordplay. And in this album here, he really scaled back on just going bars, 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 and he's really trying to tell you about the shit he's been really going through. It sounds like sort of an album where he just wanted to get a lot of shit off his chest and just explain to you what he was going through, and he's just getting a lot of stuff off his mind and all the demons he's been dealing with. A lot of this album centers around his depression, with him being, you know, dealing with the issues with him, his father not being there, to him breaking up with his girlfriend, to him dealing with all the bullshit from his label with the mishandling of his first album, Doris, to friends kind of flaking on him or just using him, or them not being real friends to him when he realizes at the end of the day, with all the success and the fame and the money and all the shit that Earl's been going through, his drug addiction and his alcohol problems that he adapted, and just the fact that he kind of just spiraled into a deep, dark depression, and he didn't give a fuck about anything or anyone, including himself. And that's pretty much what this album kind of just goes through. All the aspects and everything that he's gone through. Every song has a grim tone, and every song on here just pretty much explains a different facet of Earl's life in that time. As far as I'm concerned, he's kind of gotten out of that, but this is pretty much, he sat on this album for a while, but this is what was going on after the moments of Doris when it dropped, onto right before when he was making this album, or probably a little bit right after he started making this album. But Earl is probably the most personable in this album. The wordplay is great, the lyrics are great, and it's just, he's very transparent. And when you first listen to this album, you may be turned off to it because it's really just, it's Earl. It says Earl all over it, but it's not a traditional sounding hip hop album. This is like a purge album for Earl in a way. And if you don't understand what Earl's been going through, or you don't like those grim, dark, mellow, this is headphone music. This is nothing to bump in the car, but those grim, dark, mellow records that just, it's just meant for you to just sit down and just soak and listen to and absorb, and not really get anything out of it other than that mood that he's trying to capture, which is a very dark and gritty and depressing time in Earl that he's trying to explain to you on this record. Earl needs some fucking help, apparently, in this record. This nigga needs Seroquel and fucking something in therapy with this shit, and I guess this is his therapeutic moment with this album. And the album itself isn't that long. It's only about 30 minutes, and it's only 10 tracks on here altogether, and the bulk of it is Earl on the vocals. He does have a few features on here. He has Vince Staples, Nakel, Wiki from Rat King, and Dash on here, and they all, you know, bring their own flavors and verses here and do their own things on here, but it's really, Earl really steals the show. The difference between this album and Doris that I like is that Earl seems a little bit more hungrier, and his verses don't sound like he's not interested in rapping. He actually sounds like he came to fucking rap on this album. The only trade-off is that the production on here isn't as varied or as live or as well or as crisp as it was on Doris, but the verses on here and the wordplay and the subject matter is a lot better than it was on Doris, and I kind of feel like you get to get more of Earl as himself on this album. So I think that's an okay trade-off. The beats here are very basic, but they fit. At first, when I heard the album, I was like, I don't know, I'm not feeling the beats on here. I love the verses, but the beats aren't pulling me. But as I sat and really absorbed the sounds and just paid attention to what the album was trying to do, it clicked and it made sense. And Earl needed to have his music and his beats sounding this way for him to translate this mood and this tone and get across this subject he was trying to portray. So I understand what Earl was doing, and that made me appreciate the album and hence enjoy the album more than I did when I first listened to it. And it's got good replay value if you can understand where Earl is coming from and saying, because this really is an album where he just had to get a lot off his chest. I'm still waiting for Earl to drop an album that's a certified masterpiece and that I know he has in him, but this album is a good stepping stone from Doris, because Doris was very disappointing to me, kind of bland at times, but this here, even though it's very mellow, you can tell he has grown up as an artist and as a person, and he's venturing into bigger and better places now. Now, you know I gotta give you a top 5 tracks, and this time I actually have a top fucking 5. Yes, I'm not gonna fuck this one up. So my top 5 tracks are, hold on, you know I ain't never fucking ready for this shit. Okay, Mantra. I really like that record. That's kind of where I feel like the album starts to pick up. It's the second track on the album, and it really picks up on that one. And he talks about, you know, the situation with him and his ex-girlfriend, how, you know, they broke up, or what led to them breaking up. And that was a good record, and I felt, you know, that was the first time Earl really opened up about on as far as his relationship is concerned and the stuff that he caused to happen, which caused his relationship to fuck up. So that was a good record I like. The next record I like was the single that dropped was Grief. I like the beat on here. It's got that real just dark, eerie beat, but it draws to me for some reason. At first when I heard it, I was like, I don't know about it, but as I listened to it, it grew on me. And I just like everything about this record, especially the ending breakdown with the live band, you know, playing. I don't know what band that is, but, you know, they did a good job. And Earl just delivered a great verse on here, and he's really talking about just some depressing shit as far as like you know, the friends he thought he had, you know, the snakes in the grass, you know, and all that other stuff that he's been dealing with as far as with the fame shit and the drug addiction. He really, really talks about it here the most on Grief, and I like that record. The next track that I like is Grown Ups, and that one features Dash, and I like this record for the majority. I like Earl's verse and everything on here, but the thing that I really like about this that I don't think many people picked up on is he uses the same sample as the Victor Vaughn song Pop Snot off the Vaudeville Villain album back in 2003. Listen to that song and you know what I mean. And I really was interested that and intrigued that he used that sample, because I haven't heard that sample used other than on that song. And that just shows, you know, how much, I don't know if Earl did that on purpose because he's a big Doom fan himself, if he used that, but that just made the beat more better to me because I haven't heard that sample in a while, and he utilized it very well in his production. So hats off to him on that one. That one really, really stuck out to me because of that, and he dropped a dope record. And then it goes into AM radio, AM radio, I think, but that one features Wiki from Rat King, whose verse was okay. He had good energy, but I don't know, the verse really didn't draw to me, but the energy was good. But the beat on here is dope. And Earl's verse on here is dope as well. Earl's verse on everything in here is dope, but I like that one because it really it has the most life out of all the records. Well, one of the records that has the most life out of all the records, but it still has that real low mellow tone to it. So that's a dope record. And then my final track that I like is Wool. And no, not because it's got wool and I'm woolly, but okay, a little bit, but also because Vince Staples and Earl Sweatshirt are both on there. And this is the record where they're actually just spitting, you know, this is the last record on the album. This is where you can actually hear Earl spitting one of his dopest verses. Vince Staples comes in, starts it off, and Vince Staples and Earl Sweatshirt have a real good chemistry. You heard it on Hive, you hear it on here, and I would be interested to hear an album between these two because I think they will make a dope album together. But those are my top 5 tracks. I like this album. It's not great, 100% masterpiece, but it's very, very good. And I like what Earl did with the tone and the mellow vibe of it, but getting everything off his chest is a very, very high up step from Doris, which was very all over the place for the most part. The production was all over the place. Earl didn't seem like he wanted to rap half the time, and he just felt uncomfortable on that album. Here, Earl feels 100% confident and comfortable with what he's doing, and I think it's because he has all hands-on with this album, from the production to the subject matter and everything like that, and it paid off. This is an album that's going to grow on you. When you first hear it, you may not like it unless you're a huge Earl Sweatshirt fan and you get what he's doing. But this is a grower album, but if you let it grow on you, you will appreciate what it is. And I'm very looking forward to the next Earl album, which I think will be even better and will be that masterpiece that we all know he can do. But nothing more to say. I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside is a solid album and a very good step up from Doris. It is very mellow and grim and dark, but if you get what Earl was trying to do, that's the time. The nigga was fucking depressed at the time he was making this shit, so what do you expect? He ain't gonna be happy-go-lucky on this shit. But if you appreciate that, you appreciate this album, and it's very good, and I liked it. It's a grower, but I liked it. So my final verdict, I'm not saying that Earl Sweatshirt, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside is an overall great step up from Doris and a pretty solid album. All I'm saying is that Doris was kind of all over the place, like I said, and, you know, I don't feel like Earl was fully there yet with everything. But on this album, he seems a lot more hungry, a lot more focused, and the fact that he handled all the production, even though it is a little bit lo-fi and low-key, it is perfectly fitting what he wants to do in this album and the mood that he wants to set, and I understand what he was trying to do. And lyrically, Earl's on it. He's got the lines, he's got the wordplay, and he's very personable and transparent in his album, and you really get to see what he's been going through, and he's been in a fucking depressing ass low state, and to pull himself up from it and make this album and see where the error of his ways were is a great thing. And I really think that the next Earl album, the third one, is the one that's going to be the masterpiece that we all been waiting for and the one that we're going to be talking about. But this is a good stepping stone to that. So all I got to say is that Earl Sweatshirt, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, for me, is 100% Granddad approved. Definitely go check it out. It's out right now. It's a dope record. It is a grower record. It may not pull you the first time, but if you really listen to it and see what Earl Sweatshirt is trying to do and the tone and the mood he's trying to capture, if you understand that and you listen to what he's saying, and the fact that he's being so personable and letting you into all the shit he's been going through really says something about Earl as a person. He's not afraid to really just open the curtain and expose who he is to the world without any worry about what people are going to say, and you got to respect that. But nothing more to say. It's a dope album, so definitely go check it out. Earl Sweatshirt, I don't like shit. I don't go outside. It's Granddad approved. Flip it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and drop a comment. Tell me what you think of Earl Sweatshirt. I don't like shit. I don't go outside. Like I said, it's a grower album. It's something that you're going to have to listen to a few times to fully appreciate and understand what Earl was trying to do as far as the mood and the tone of everything. But if you do, you will see that it is a very, very good album and a good step up from Doors. So check it out. Previous videos on the side as well as my music video. Check those out, showing some love. And as always, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram. Links in the description below. And subscribe. Button on the screen, button below, Wooly Reviews, twice a week, gaming channel, check that shit out, and I got nothing more to say. So until next time I take my leave, Granddaughter, Earl Sweatshirt, I don't like shit, I don't go outside, me either. I'm out of here.